you can really think about decisioning, AI decisioning and decision models as anywhere you have a business question to answer with data. And one of our team members says it's a bit like the Matrix. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Welcome to Powerhouse, where we interview the biggest names in housing and ask them about their strategy for growth. I'm Diego Sanchez, president of HousingWire, and my guest today is Rafael Goldberg, head of decision at Sapiens. Rafi, it's so great to have you on the show.
Diego, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks so much for having me. I love what you guys are doing at HousingWire, so really thrilled to be here.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this conversation. So Sapiens has been recognized as a leader in AI decisioning. How do you define AI decisioning, and why is it an evolution beyond traditional business rules automation?
Yeah, so let's jump right in. So AI decisioning, I'll start at the end, like why lenders should care, and then I'll work my way back. But lenders should care about AI decisioning because it enables them to compete on decisions. So much of what they compete on involves decisions, and AI decisioning enables them to make faster, more precise, more adaptable. And I think this piece is really key, more close to their business intent, those kinds of decisions. And so it's really a game changer for lenders to harness this. And what this is, AI decisioning, you mentioned business rules. It is an evolution of it. It is Forrester describes it in their report as a bringing together of many disciplines that up to this point have been siloed and required different specialization. So business rules is one of them. Data and analytics is another. And then good old-fashioned AI, like machine learning. Bringing those three things together in one platform with AI, more modern AI, Gen AI, and even agentic AI layered throughout that. And you're getting this really turbocharged opportunity to make those faster, more precise, more adaptable decisions. So we're really thrilled that Forrester and others are talking about this space. They're writing reports about it, and to be recognized as a leader is really just a real pleasure for us.
So there's three different practices or disciplines that we're pulling together into AI decisioning. How do you apply that to some of the legacy technology and process challenges that we see in mortgage?
Yeah. Right. So that can be scary, right? Because you're dealing with existing systems that have been in production for a long time, existing processes. So what's neat about this capability is it's more of a horizontal strategy and capability, meaning let's think about the system, the ecosystem as a whole. Let's not think about massive transformation and rip and replace. Let's provide a logic layer with this AI decisioning platform that you can work with the customer and look at that low-hanging fruit for the use case. Start there. You can extract decision logic from an existing system. Keep using that existing system for what it's good at, like system of record, but take out that complex decisioning that's probably slowing it down and making it more complex than it needs to. And then if that system's making a third-party call, which I'm sure it is in other areas, this is just another API call. And then over time, you're going to start collecting more and more use cases into that logic layer. Your systems are going to become more lightweight, easier to manage. So that's kind of the technology, the legacy technology play. And then you mentioned process. On the process side, you're also going to get a lift. Why? Because it turns out that a lot of times we're trying to manage decisions with process. What do I mean by that? I mean, if this, then that, but the other thing, and maybe this, and we're trying to do that through process maps and people. But if you, again, to the legacy tech, if you extract those decisions into a purpose-built decisioning system, those processes can actually get much more simple, more stable, less people required. And now those processes just run. It's the decision logic that you're going to be changing to be more adaptable. And so this is a great strategy to address those legacy tech and process challenges.
Yeah, it sounds really interesting and great in theory, but let's drill into the actual mortgage origination process.
Yeah.
Can you share some compelling use cases that you've seen in your work with lenders?
Absolutely. You're right. Let's make it real. So I would put it into two categories. The one being kind of the larger grain, more obvious, and like product eligibility, automated underwriting. And then the second group is I have a friend that says, the riches are in the niches. So there's all of these niche use cases where you don't even think about them as decisions because you've never been able to automate them. You just have people with their checklists and cubicles and a lot of tribal knowledge and exception handling. Income calculation, mortgage insurance, clear to close. But automated underwriting, that's a huge one. You can really think about decisioning, AI decisioning and decision models as anywhere you have a business question to answer with data. And one of our team members says it's a bit like the Matrix. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And so you start with that first use case, and then you start to recognize all of these business questions that you're answering with data, and you're like, wow, I could create a decision model for that. And so you may have that first group of those big obvious ones, product eligibility, automated underwriting, and then you have those niche ones as well.
HousingWire is on a fairly new AI platform that is more applicable to media companies. But it took me like a month and a half to build my first assistant on the platform, but then it took me a week to build my second and third assistant on the platform.
Exactly.
So you get excited about it, like I think what you're saying.
Yes, 100%. No, that's awesome to hear. And you're right. And also these platforms are focused on, one of the things that Forrester talks about is usability, and a part of that is reusability. So you talked about, going from a month and a half to a week, and you can do that with these platforms as well, because you essentially start developing these building blocks of assets, and then you start to compose them together.
So you talked about the origination process, and it sounds like there are a variety of use cases that can plug into origination. Are you also looking at the secondary process, or maybe even more fruitful, the servicing process?
Absolutely. So there are great decisioning use cases throughout the mortgage process. It's interesting you mentioned marketing. And so even before origination, there's decisioning in marketing, meaning, which product should I market to which customers when? That's a great decisioning use case. Post-origination, secondary, that's huge. Investor eligibility decisioning. We have a customer that implemented for that type of use case, and they were able to just achieve things like, 60% reduced risk of repurchase, meaning, and 20% increase in ability to determine where they could sell loans to, which investors to sell loans to. So, and then servicing, very rich, some challenges there with systems, but certainly loss mitigation is an obvious one for decisioning use case and servicing.
Yeah, so many areas that you can plug in, and it sounds like you're plugging into existing tech and then allowing folks to extract decisions out of there, but you don't require people to rip out their legacy tech.
Exactly. And so we're not looking to be a replacement system, a verticalized business application. We're looking to be that horizontal layer, that strategy, make your existing systems lightweight and work better. We provide a simple API using Open API standard. And the really nice thing that we've seen for customers is once you have that strategy in place, when you're ready to make that larger systems transformation, you're not recoding your decision logic. Just because your system's changing doesn't mean your decisions are changing. So you just start with that new system, but your decisions are there waiting for you. So you get this massive acceleration and kind of future proofing.
So let's walk through a couple of your clients and what you've seen in the way decisions get made, the shifts that you've seen in the way decisions get made when you put some of these tools in their hands.
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. Like kind of on the process side, an operating model, I'll call it. One of the interesting things that happens is I mentioned this at the beginning. This idea of making a lender's decision hew more closely to the original intent, the business policy. If you think about traditional methods like business rules, you have the policy created, written down, maybe a business analyst gets involved, a configurator then takes it, or a developer. By the time, and then you're dealing with some pretty significant constraints of the target technology. There are a lot of, it's like a game of telephone, and compromises are made. And what's running in production may be a version of policy. Now, with these tools, they are no code, visual, drag and drop interfaces, but they're not shadow IT. And so business loves them because they can see what's running in production. They get a lot of confidence. IT loves them because they're not interpreting written requirements. They're just getting an API to interact with, and their constrained resources are freed up to work on fun and hard engineering problems instead of interpreting requirements. And so you really get this great trust back between those two parts of the organization, business and IT. And so it's like the shift left of implementation. You get much more robust testing up front, and your outcomes improve, and your cycles get faster. So that's how I would answer how I see our customers adapt when they bring on this type of technology.
So fingers crossed that this is changing, but we've been in a margin compression environment for several years now where every basis point matters, right?
Yeah.
And so I would imagine that part of your pitch when it comes to bringing AI decisioning into organizations is, well, you can also save some money here.
100%. It's obviously top of mind for everyone. I think what's great about these platforms for lenders is by implementing them, it's first of all, it's not a huge lift. You're not talking about a years long implementation. Our clients can get live within 12 weeks because of some of the things that I've talked about. But you're really able to increase revenue more profitably. And so what do I mean? For example, if you're able to implement better, more precise, more adaptable, more granular decisions, you're probably going to be able to have your loan officers get a higher pull through rate, more files per day. If you're able to automate some of that checking the checker niche decisioning, then you're going to have less touches per loan. And so you can see increased revenue more profitably. And so it's really a great strategy to deal with exactly what you described, which is these really tough compressed margins.
So earlier in the conversation, you talked about compliance and policy, and then implementation of policy out in the field. And in distributed retail, you can have different implementations of the policy in different branches, right?
Yeah.
So how does Sapiens and AI decisioning help bring some transparency and help with compliance while also allowing some of that entrepreneurial spirit that lenders have who are moving faster and with more confidence?
Yeah, no, it's a really important question, especially because AI is involved. And I don't want people to walk away with the wrong impression that an AI is making the decision. And so what's neat about this, we talked in the beginning about this combination of disciplines. You're getting the advantages of AI to speed up some of your processes of creating these implementations, but you're combining that with a highly, highly declarative visual model. So you and I, the business, IT, anyone can look at that model and understand exactly how the decision is being made. And when it's pushed into production and executed, you're able to trace back from the actual decision that's made in production all the way back to the original change request. And so you get this extremely clear path on your compliance side. And then on the entrepreneurial side, what's neat is the platform provides you with a lot of opportunity for creating what we call views. And so the Southeast may have their view of a certain product, and the Northeast may have their view. And that's available for the system to understand when to call which. So you really get the best of both, that combination of those metrics.
So I'm hearing that you can almost have a local flavor, right? There's
Yes.
a business-wide policy, but there's a local flavor that can be executed on by a branch or a region.
That's a really good way to put it. Yeah.
Well, this is really interesting stuff. Our audience is really engaged with AI as a topic right now.
Yeah.
If they want to learn more about AI decisioning and your business, what should they do?
Thanks, Diego. I mean, it'd be great. You can go to our website, sapiensdecision.com. I mentioned the Forrester reports there available to read through. It's a great kind of primer or primer on the space, and it highlights a lot of great vendors. We have demos on our website. We did a really fun demo day with HousingWire with you guys.
That's right.
And we have that on the website, and they should check it out at HousingWire too. And I think that demo really it goes through in 10, 15 minutes, the core value proposition. So that's a great way. And then, of course, reach out to us, and we're really happy to have a conversation, understand what you as a lender are trying to accomplish and how we might be able to help.
Rafi, again, this is a great conversation. Thank you so much for joining me on Powerhouse today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks so much for having us.